Welcome back to Cruise Nerds.
Cruise Nerds!
Who's nuts?
I'm your host, Paul.
And I'm your other host, Sarah.
And today, Sarah, we have a very special guest, our friend Willis.
I'm so excited.
Hey,
How are you,
people.
Willis?
I am so good. I just came off a cruise.
That's amazing.
Even though I came off the cruise like a week or two before yours, I'm still super jealous because looked super awesome.
We're still waiting to hear some facts about Paul's cruise, but we're not here for that today.
No, we heard all this good stuff about the cruise. We just didn't hear all the terrible stuff that happened in Disney World afterwards. So
I have
not a
so
big
many
fan of
questions still.
Disney World.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, I tell you, there's one sort of not so great thing about the cruise, and that is the Rhine River was low this year.
heard, yeah. Every river apparently in the world.
So
right now.
so parts of the cruise when we're going along, it's funny because there were all these wonderful German people who said, "Oh, look, we have a beach now," and they were lined up. There were like RVs, caravans lined up all the way down to the edge of the water. And it's just like one long beach, and there's people just having a party, and it was great.
Well,
and then, but there's us, and every now and again you could hear this, and that was the boat
scraping the bottom or the side.
scraping something.
Oh.
And our boat wasn't so bad, but it was when we got on another boat because our boat was too heavy to go through the Rhine Gorge. And they said, "Well, we can't do that. We're gonna put you on another boat."
Wow.
And
which
that boat was
it?
definitely making noise.
Wow.
Am I allowed to say?
Oh,
yeah. we went on Avalon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I've been on two cruises. I've been one on Emerald.
Yeah.
And one on Avalon. Both of them, I'm not going to say bad things about. Neither one. Avalon's bathrooms were definitely bigger, though.
Was Emerald River Cruise or was Emerald Ocean?
Yeah, Emerald was Emerald was a river cruise, and what I liked about them is they had entertainment every night. They had a live piano / DJ guy who was hilarious. Not only was he hilarious, he sometimes played music. He did karaoke competitions. He played like 70s through 90s,
Excellent.
dance music, some nights. And it was just a riot. It was great. This cruise was great, but we only had one live entertainment the whole time, and she was amazing.
Oh, okay.
She had a band with a bass player, a guitar player, and I wish I could remember their name. But just some amazing music. I mean, they were great.
That's awesome.
Only once, so it was kind of oh well.
What was the music style like? Regional, or was it just kind of covers and things?
It's kind of like they knew we were all like North Americans. I don't know,
Yeah, is that Avalon?
It was kind of like that.
Is Avalon like that? Most of the people are from North
Well,
America.
we were all North Americans. Oh. Yeah, it's funny. I will say at least we're all English speakers.
Right.
So there weren't any. I remember, I think on Emerald, there might have been one or two people who didn't speak English, but maybe not. But I think these are all, they're sort of, they're aimed at North Americans, British people, and Canadians. Yeah, and that's all there was. I mean, I believe we were the only Canadians on board, but most of them were either North American or British. And at first there were only 59 people on board.
Wow.
You believe that?
Have you ever been on an ocean cruise, Willis?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I went on one to Alaska.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Food every, hour of the day, and it was, and great entertainment but you don't really get to meet a lot of people.
Right.
There's thousands of people on your ship. Sometimes people are a little bit snobby about.
Really?
Okay, here's an example. Okay. We luckily we didn't have to sit with the same people every day. It's a little different on a river cruise because there's only 100. There's only 50 people there. Most of the time, you're gonna sit pretty close to somebody.
Yeah.
But we're on this river cruise and we're sitting down. They seem like nice people. They're actually Canadians. These were two Canadians, and they're we're sitting down and the food comes, and the lovely Filipino gentleman places it in front of them, and bows and leaves. He's the waiter, and they look at it and they look at him and say, "Well, he won't be here very long." Why? What's wrong? He says, "Well, first of all, he didn't put the meat at the 12 o'clock position."
Oh,
wow.
I said,
very high expectations.
surely you jest. So I start laughing a little bit, like, ha, ha, ha. That's funny, but it wasn't funny to him. He wasn't laughing.
What cruise line? What cruise line was that?
It was like, this was Holland America.
Oh, that's Sarah's favorite.
This is Holland America.
Sarah, when you go on Holland America, do they put your meat at the 12 o'clock?
Do you do that? Do you complain about it?
I couldn't even tell you where they put the meat down.
I'm barely old enough to read a clock. I don't even know what the 12 o'clock.
It was amazing, man. He was like really, really, he was scanning off his silverware, making sure it was, right. And I was going, wow, wow. And so we only ate with them once,
That's a good idea.
I've always met, I've mostly met really cool people on the big ocean cruise. I guess occasionally I've met some real snobs, but
yeah, you're always going to, right?
Yeah.
I guess we're all snobs. We can afford an ocean cruise.
I sort of wonder, like, there's going to be people like that, but there's also going to be people that like are just having a bad day, and that's when you meet them.
Yeah.
I think especially on the first night, people have had a bad day and they're just not feeling social, and they're just kind of grumpy about stupid stuff. And
these guys,
I've probably done.
It was just so specific, though. This meet at the 12 o'clock position thing. It was like, I never even heard of that. I was going,
if you're listening on YouTube, everybody, go to the comments and tell us whether or not you get your ocean cruise dinner meat served at the
that guy's going to be on here. He's going to be on here. He's going to say,
do you do? I hope so.
I was there.
What if you're a vegetarian?
Those other guys.
I don't know. It's funny, Willis. I always get confused when they take away the forks and the spoons, and this is the dessert fork, and it's just like, what is going on here?
I know.
And it's fun when you get a steak, because then they bring you a separate knife and you don't know what to do with the old knife.
Yeah, I know. What do we do there?
That one's not good enough.
Take these now.
All right, back to enough about ocean.
Okay, sorry.
I want to hear all about your river cruise.
I've hijacked your podcast.
Did you fly straight from here to Barcelona, Victoria to Barcelona?
That was amazing. We actually got a flight, not all the way to, I have to just say that we were on a different tour before we got to this one.
Okay.
So we had this crazy idea that we would spend all of the money that we saved for the last 3 years on a huge trip, and we'd take 2 trips. We're gonna take a bus tour, and then from the bus tour, we're gonna go to this wedding that we have to go to, and then we're going to take a cruise.
Amazing.
So that's what we did.
I love these
So
kind of plans.
I did get a flight all the way to Paris.
Okay.
So that was nice.
From
Was it
Victoria?
Victoria to Paris
Calgary.
or Vancouver or Seattle to Paris?
Oh, we're talking Vancouver
Oh,
to
Vancouver to
Paris.
Paris. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can get behind that.
And then from there we had to fly to Barcelona.
Right.
And what's really funny is the French border guards were on sort of not a strike, but kind of a go slow.
Oh.
But it wasn't not even a go slow. It was a they're about to strike, right? And I thought, oh no, because I heard about this before, as we were coming over, and I thought, oh no, that means it's going to have these long lines, and they're going to take forever, and they're going to ask us all these questions. It was the opposite.
Oh wow.
We get to Paris, and you know how it is in Europe, where basically you come in at one place, and then you never have to cross the border again. You never have to show your passport ever again.
Yeah.
So we were expecting, they're going to grill us. They're going to ask us at least what we're doing. No, we walk up to the thing, and the guy's sitting there, and he's looking really bored. And I'm thinking, oh no, this is going to take forever. I hand him my passport. He looks at it. He stamps it, throws it back at me. That's it. Doesn't ask me a thing. He doesn't ask me how long you staying. Are you here for, are you the usual? Are you a terrorist? No, none of this.
Wow.
None of this.
Wow.
So, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. And my wife is shocked. She says, you usually get questioned.
It's my wife always gets taken back for like extra questions, and
yeah,
I'm always the one
they're patting down, or
Yeah, she gets the bag. The bag gets detoured because something looks suspicious in it. Yeah,
Catherine is a very suspicious woman.
It's
yeah. And I had a little guitar case. I had stuff with me, but he didn't ask any questions, and I'm going.
Wow.
That's weird, because now we know we're in Europe. We can go anywhere.
Yeah,
It won't matter.
International
and
spy.
no one's gonna ask us, and no one did. No, we got on a plane, went to Barcelona. It's all good. It was crazy. I mean, I'm not gonna. I suppose I'm not complaining about it, but it was weird.
So the border guards in France are quiet quitting everybody. So
Yes,
It's the time to
get
go.
away to
now.
Europe, head that way. Wow. That's great. Yeah, when we did our border crossing last, we got on the way to the US, we ended up like in a room that was basically sauna temperature in Toronto for like 3 hours. People were like getting sick and looking like they're gonna pass out.
Oh,
So,
no.
yeah, and it's hard to get into America. They make it's like Survivor.
They're very serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And the guards there
Don't smile.
they don't have a sense of humor, and I don't blame them, because they're working in a sauna apparently.
Well,
they haven't had a sense of humor since the incident.
Yeah.
In 2001.
Fair
No,
enough.
it's really you've probably lived in BC a long time. I lived in Abbotsford, where you can cross the border all the time.
Yeah.
And I lived both sides of the border. I lived in a place called Sumas, which is right on the other side.
Oh, okay.
And when I lived there in the 90s, I could cross the border like 4 or 5 times a day. And the guys would know me. They'd get to know me, and they go, "Oh, hey, Willis, how you doing?" I used to get them stuff for Christmas, and as soon as
what were you
September
moving
11th,
across the border, Willis?
bam! Everybody had guns. Yeah.
You're on a list now. All right.
Hey, I
So
was nice to him. I was nice to him.
That's good. So
back to the cruise.
back to the cruise.
Anyway, back to the cruise. Sorry.
It's
Let's not talk about that.
All right. So tell us about getting on the river cruise, because this is what I'm super curious about. When you get on an ocean liner, it's like a big deal. There's like 13 lineups and paperwork and all the other stuff. Is it a lot
Snake
simpler?
back and
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Number one, our cruise only had 59 people.
That's amazing.
We were supposed to have, I think the ship held 150. So it
Oh, wow.
did hold much more than that, right?
Wow.
But it was only 59 because, they're still waiting for the whole river cruise thing and the tour thing to really come back.
Yeah.
It hasn't come back.
Yeah.
For sure.
And even the bus tour we were on, I think there were 30, 40 people and not the usual 70, 80,
Wow.
So it was, you got to know people really well. You got to know just about everybody on that boat.
What's interesting is the Caribbean cruises and the Alaska cruises. Well, not so much Alaska, but Caribbean cruises are all running full now. Like they're back to capacity. Yeah. The one we went on, Wonder of the Seas, it wasn't quite capacity, but it was damn near. And it sure felt like it. Like you knew the ship was packed. Yeah.
Yeah. Could be the war.
The Europe
I don't know.
Thing. Yeah. A lot of people, a lot of Americans won't travel to Europe. The best of times, they travel domestically a lot of the time anyway, right?
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so tell us about getting on the ship.
So anyway, getting on a river cruise. So easiest thing in the world. So we actually we did a little optional 3 nights in Lake Como and 1 night in Lucerne trip.
Oh wow.
That was all part of it. This was an add-on. So it was sort of technically part of the cruise. So we had a tour guide and she walked us around Lake Como and showed us the best places to go. And it was very nice. And then someone actually helped us onto the train to Lucerne. And, so they were there and, made sure we got on the right train, helped us with our everything.
Wow.
So they were really cool. We got on there. We were in Lucerne, went up this wonderful mountain, Pilatus, steepest funicular in the world, which was wild. And then we ended up on a bus. From there, she just took us to a bus and got on the bus to Basel.
Okay.
And we took it to the harbor in Basel, got off, took our luggage, rolled it right up the ramp onto the boat, into the lounge, plopped it down, and they said, "Hey, welcome to the ship."
Wow.
That was it.
Cool.
Do you have room keys and stuff for the you sign?
So right there they started giving you, here's your room key,
Okay.
and would you like us to take your luggage to your room, and so they took our luggage to our room, gave us a room key, gave us the whole spiel about safety spiel.
Yep.
And the captain came in and greeted us and the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
So that all happened in the first hour. So
Wonderful.
and then we were off. I was like, so away we went. And unfortunately, because of the low river, we did not as much cruising as I would have liked.
Oh.
So a lot of it was like, okay, we go to one place and we end up staying there for more than a night.
Oh.
But on the other hand, what happens in river cruises, and And I'll tell you what happened on my other river cruise, because it was a little bit more like a real one. Basically, you go from one place, they go down the river a bit, they stop, they say, "Hey, this is a great town. Who wants to get out?" Bam, people get out. People look around the town. They walk up the hills. They go buy gelato, whatever they want to do. They come back. They get on board. Away they go. And that sometimes you can stop at up to three places a day.
Wow.
And you can actually, some of the bus trips are part of the cruise, so you can just sign up for them if you want to go on them. If you don't want to go on them, you just sit on board and sunbathe and I don't know, look at the industrial parks.
Is it mostly industrial parks? Because what I heard about river cruising was that you mostly kind of land in the middle of like downtowns and stuff. Was that not the case?
You do land in the middle of downtown.
Okay.
But the middle of downtown has a lot of industrial parks.
Okay.
All right then.
If you're talking about very small downtowns, sometimes,
I don't know. Yeah.
Right? Okay. So, but sometimes it's Dusseldorf,
Right.
or it's Cologne. So you're sitting here and you can see the cathedral and the bridge and and the other cathedral and this and that and the other thing, and it's all right there.
That'd be neat.
Yeah. So most of the time you're right in the middle of everything. It's like you don't need to really get on a bus and go anywhere. You could just get off the boat, walk around, and go up the hill. In fact, that's sort of the plan. And when we were on the other riverboat, most of the time that's what happened.
Okay.
You just the boat parked, and sometimes two or three boats will park right next door to you. And sometimes you have to walk over somebody else's boat to get to the dock. But then and be really careful how you open your curtains.
One of the YouTubers that I watch, she actually, it's really funny. She did a review of a river cruise, and she talked about how she looked out her window on her balcony and saw somebody completely naked right across. Yeah.
Yep. Didn't happen to us this time. Happened to us last time.
Yeah. Oh, really?
We're both in bed.
You said there was no entertainment.
It's time to get up. Time to get up,
People throwing things at your window.
Open our windows, and there's somebody in the next completely naked, just waltzing around, having a good old time. It's like, I think we better keep these closed.
This seems like a high risk activity with cruising. Yeah, the river cruise.
But just close your windows. Here's the other thing. On a river, especially if you're cruising, say in March and April, don't open the window at night, because one day we woke up and we were greeted. We went out and we were greeted in the foyer and in the front part of the ship, where we might sit for breakfast. There's all these what looks to us like beautiful rose petals all over the front of the ship, and all over the sides, and all down the sides. And I said, "Oh, well, that's pretty. Did they do that just for us? They strew rose petals all over the ship." And I noticed somebody's like really sweeping them up, and I'm going, well, why would they do that and then just sweep them up? What's going on here? So I asked the guy, I said, "So what are you doing with all these rose petals?" He says, "Oh, those aren't rose petals. Those are moths."
Oh, wow.
It was, I swear, it's like 2 feet of moths. This only happened once in the whole trip.
Oh my
but
God.
They were really pretty looking, like
Well,
pink
good.
and white but they were obviously not living anymore.
Wow.
So they were practically shoveling them off the deck.
Oh, no.
They were trying to do this before we woke up. And I said, yeah, I said, some parts of the river, you know, they got these, they sort of attack the light and then they die. And we've gotten the, you know, the ships have a lot of lights on them. Right. Anyway.
Wow.
If you look at one, I made a YouTube video of one of our trips from a couple of years ago, and it has a picture somewhere in the middle. There's a picture of all of them, and you can see how pretty they look. It looks like someone, you know, it's just like when they strew rose petals behind the, you know, the bride and the groom. It kind of looked like that, except it was like 2 feet of them. They're this thick.
Wow.
Wow.
Just on the.
Did you, for this trip, Willis, did you put your videos up on YouTube as well? I know you put them on Facebook.
I did. And I had so much fun, and I was away for a month and a half.
Wow.
And I made way too many videos, and so I've got 10 of them up there. There's a whole series. So if you're bored,
we'll link to them. Yeah.
There's actually one called Calm to Amsterdam. And if you care to look at it, I had this crazy idea because, you know, in the pandemic, one thing I really loved watching was canal boat videos, and because I just find them really relaxing, and watching the boat go down the canal. And there's this one guy, and he did a whole trip down the Thames estuary in a canal boat, and he just filmed the whole thing. It's like 4 hours long. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a whole hour's video. But if you watch mine, watch it really carefully, because somewhere in there, unless I'm mistaken, and I actually clipped this out, is my wife washing our socks. And
well, you never know, right?
I was filming out the side of our boat, because the wonderful thing about river cruises is, you know, most of the time you don't get a balcony anymore. You just get this window that you can, it's really big, and the top half of it goes all the way down, or it opens all the way. So ours opened all the way. So we had this really wide open, and you could lean out because it did have a railing. So you could, you know, and it's sort of still in your room. So it's completely covered. And you can just sort of sit and gaze out at whatever is outside your window as it goes past. So what I did was I just set up a camera, and just 1080, you know, and I filmed whatever was on the river for a whole hour.
Nice.
So it's on there. So in case you want to know what a river cruise looks like,
I do. Well,
That's
we're planning
there
to
it
go.
is.
We're planning to go.
I filmed on that Calm to Amsterdam one. I filmed this docking. I filmed this undocking, and then getting going, and then there's about an hour of the Rhine River, and you'll see how low it is in some places.
Very cool. What cities did you go to or have favorites of?
Oh, well, this time, Basel itself, actually, Switzerland was a very interesting city in itself. It's got some very interesting looking buildings. But we didn't spend a whole lot of time in it. But where did we go? We went to Heidelberg. We went to Strasbourg, which is the capital of Europe. It has the European Parliament and the European Court.
Oh, wow.
There right now. And yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know a lot about Strasbourg. And it sounds like it's a German city, but it's a French city.
Oh,
okay.
That's been taken over by Germany. It's gone back and forth
Oh, funny.
So it's Strasbourg with a Bourg. Of course, the Germans spell it differently, but it's
Of course they do.
but yeah. But anyway, it's a French city, and it's very very interesting. It has another Notre Dame de Strasbourg, which is really worth going to see for its clock. It's got an amazing medieval clock that's got all these amazing moving parts and dolls and things on it that tell stories. And
Oh, cool.
I didn't have enough patience to actually just stand and wait for 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock to happen because we had stuff to do. But but we did watch it chime the quarter hour, and lots of stuff was moving. It was really interesting.
Cool.
But that is a beautiful, beautiful cathedral. And the town itself is really interesting. It has more I'll say Tudor looking because it's not Tudor, obviously, because it's not English, but wooden, I guess you could just say wooden frame buildings, because it hasn't had a significant fire. So it has more wooden frame buildings than I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, cool.
It's like walking sometimes when you walk past, it's like walking into the past because of that. You just see all these, like Tudor looking buildings, and some of them, I swear they almost look like the back of a pirate ship or something like that. Some of the, what you might think of in your mind as the back end of a pirate ship. Some of them are sticking out over the road and they look like that. So just wild, even around the cathedral. But as you walk further away from the cathedral, there's just a ton of them. So it's just worth it just to see all of those.
Very cool.
And so Strasbourg's definitely a town worth going to see, and
Cologne,
and interesting. Cologne, of course, Cologne Cathedral is very beautiful. They're really trying to fix that up right now.
Oh, nice.
What denomination is the cathedral in Cologne? Do you know? Did you notice?
Well, that's interesting because I heard another lady ask that question too.
Yeah.
But all the cathedrals are mostly Catholic.
Okay.
Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
Because
Germany kind of has a bit of a history.
one or two have changed. They're one or two are Lutheran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
But the Lutherans ones, for the most part, don't look as nice.
Not as nice. not as high budget.
I gotta say, yeah, they just don't. They're like, yeah, it's because us Protestants are just too utilitarian. It's like, we just want a building, guys. We don't need to spend all this money on gargoyles and stuff. It's like, just give me a nice straight building with, a little spire.
What did you do in Amsterdam when you got there? Or have you been before?
Wow, man. It's Amsterdam. It goes on in Amsterdam.
Whatever you're going to say.
In Amsterdam. Well, there's two things I didn't do. I didn't visit a coffee shop, which is slang for a place that sells cannabis.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to the red light district, although we were told all about it by our tour director for some strange reason.
Oh,
he wanted to know everything about it. I will tell you that once on a different trip, when I was coming through on a train, I did accidentally see the red light district. It's
I've heard that story before. Yeah.
Yeah. part of it is along the track. And it was funny because I'm going along, me and my daughter and my wife were all sitting, looking out the window, coming into Amsterdam. And I said, oh, that's really weird how they've got all those lingerie models out in the, and then it suddenly dawned on me.
Oh my goodness.
I walked through the red light district once.
Why would they?
Wow.
I did.
When we go to Amsterdam, we really want to visit the Anne Frank's house, right?
It's very cool.
That's
Yes. Well, I have to tell you some
we love history.
maybe good news, maybe bad news. Well, the bad news part is that a couple of years ago it burnt.
Oh.
Oh, really?
So
Hear about that.
the Anne Frank Museum that you see now, it has been rebuilt.
Oh wow.
Because there were a couple of incidents of vandalism, not only there, but in Germany as well, in a few places that were Holocaust remembrance places.
Oh, wow.
And so that actually happened. But they have rebuilt it the way it looked. The thing is, if you want to go, you need to book it before you leave here.
Yeah.
Maybe a month to 2 months in advance.
Yeah.
There was no way we were going to get in.
No.
Yeah, we thought, maybe, it'll just be, because we were there for 3 days. We said, surely one of those days we'll be able to. But no, when we got there, there were actually no bookings for the entire month.
Wow.
After we left.
Oh my goodness.
So it was like 3 weeks was, we would have had to have been there for 3 weeks if we wanted to get in. You can of course go by it and you can walk past it.
Sure. Yeah.
And
we did that in Rome with the Colosseum. We're like, okay, there's the Colosseum. Let's not wait 6 hours to get in because we didn't pay the right people.
Colosseum, it's actually a little sad when you go into the Colosseum because it's such a mess.
Yeah.
And they have taken like 1/3 of the floor space of the Colosseum and they have rebuilt it and they've rebuilt the seats.
Oh wow.
So you can actually go in there, but if you want to see that part, you have to pay extra.
Do they
of course.
Do they have like Christians and lions come out and
well, I didn't pay, so possibly. But did you know that actually not very many Christians died at the Colosseum?
Oh,
most of them died at the Circus Maximus, which is actually now just a park.
Oh.
And you'll go past it on a bus and not recognize it because it's just this sort of grassy, it goes down into, and you can sort of barely see that there used to be a big round track there, but it's all just a park now. And that's sort of on the other side from where the college, but most of them died there.
My wife probably knew that because she's even more of a history buff than I am, but yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah,
but lots of people did
about
die.
The historic stuff that you did see though, Willis. Like were there any big like historic sites that you saw?
What else did we see? Well, of course, Cologne Cathedral that was bombed and came back. Yeah. It was a great Holocaust memorial there called Ma'at, which is beautiful. There's also Strasbourg, which I talked about. What else? Heidelberg was another place that we went. The Heidelberg Castle.
Oh, wow.
Is quite amazing. And for those of you who drink beer, there was the most huge beer barrel I've ever seen down in the cellar there. It had a dance floor on top of it, and you had to walk up some steps to get to the top of the barrel. But I don't think it actually contains anything anymore, but it's absolutely immense. and there was
Cool.
more than one of them, and it was like you could get, like, I swear, probably 150 people on top of this barrel.
Wow.
'Cause
You know what I'm having visions of?
there was a dance floor on the top of it, so you could go up the top and you look over. You feel like you're on a ship, because you're on this balcony looking down at this beer barrel, going, "Yeah, that's pretty
Did you
cool,
get some
man."
of that in your video, Willis?
I did. I
You
did.
did,
Yeah.
Awesome.
It reminds me of the
It's the one that says Heidelberg. I don't know.
It reminds me of the giant Coca-Cola bottle in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah.
It's like 3 stories high.
But this is beer.
Wow, there you go. Yeah.
Did you drink the beer?
There's nothing.
Beer?
I don't think there's anything in them anymore. I think they're all long empty and dry, and they
Right.
probably wouldn't even hold anything, but they're so unusual and huge that, and the guide, it's funny because our guide was a little bit lazy. He told us about it and he goes, "Yeah, there's a beer barrel over there," and then he walks on and he keeps walking, and I said, "Hun, I've got to see the beer. I'm sorry. You just keep following this guy. I am going to the beer barrel to see the big beer barrel."
Now, did you
I climbed up it and down it and around it. And
Did you have a dance?
then I ran back to my tourist guide, who was halfway through Heidelberg.
So did you have English tour guides the whole time? Oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. It's a commercial break,
Sorry,
folks.
disconnected myself there.
No worries. Did you have English tour guides the whole time?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know if they probably weren't
Yeah.
actually from England, but
Yeah. But you didn't have to wear like the microphone thing and do a self tour or whatever.
no. I mean,
you know what I mean.
I'm sure you could do that. I'm sure there's, in most of those places you can rent things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
But the other great thing I did in Amsterdam was I don't know if you know of the Van Gogh. There's a Van Gogh museum, which I went to. I went to the MC Escher Museum.
Oh wow!
Because he was Dutch, and that was incredibly amazing. I did not know that he was a print artist.
Oh,
I thought he painted all that. He actually cut it into, sort of bits of tile and printed all that great stuff that he did, which is quite amazing. So MC Escher, that's all in The Hague, which is quite a ways from Amsterdam. You have to pay to get on a train and go down there, and that's the capital of the Netherlands.
Right.
But that's
where the what is it? The World Court is there?
Yes.
The World Court. Did you see
International Court of Justice?
Yeah. Did you see that?
Yeah. It's in The Hague.
Yeah.
I did. Yes,
we
did, and it's absolutely fantastic. Cool. And of course, there's the new one, and there's the older building that you can go see as well. Beautiful town, good food. The Amsterdam Fabrique de Lumière, which was an art exhibition, and a couple of years ago they did the moving Van Gogh exposition that you probably saw. That is now, they're doing one on Klimt and Hundertwasser, who are two great artists as well. And so as long as blinking lights don't make you go crazy, my very last video 10, has the entire basically I spent 2 hours in this it's only 20 minutes but it was so good. I saw it like 3 or 4 times from like 6 or 7 different angles, and so it's a moving exposition it's been mapped onto the room. All right, so it's all done with cameras and lights, and it's just Absolutely amazing. Definitely go and see that.
So neat.
Because I don't recommend you spend as long as I did there, because after the floor and the sky was moving a little bit as I walked out, and I actually had to sit in the restaurant across the street for a little while.
Wow.
Because everything was moving.
Disorienting. Yeah.
It was very disorienting. So, but it's absolutely fantastic. So I did film all of that, and they let you film it all.
Wow.
They don't say no cameras or anything like that, and so it's all on there on my video, and you can take a look at it.
And you traveled with your wife did you travel with your wife and your daughter as well?
I traveled with my wife and my youngest daughter.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
that's fun.
But we met back up at the very end of our Amsterdam in the Schiphol airport.
Oh.
Because after the wedding, she went with her friend, and they went to another part of Italy.
Oh, nice.
And we went to Lucerne, and then to Basel, and got on the cruise.
Well, we are called Cruise Nerds. That's the name of our podcast. So we have to talk a little bit more about the ship, even though
all right,
it sounds to me like the real experience is just all the places. But for those people that are curious, and I include myself, because I'm planning on doing one of these.
Me too.
Tell us more about the ship. What was the name of the ship again?
Okay. Well, the one we ended up on in the end was, I think we started on one called the Visionary, and we ended up on the Imagineer or something like that.
Disney Imagineer.
The Imagineers.
And
the reason we were on
ships does Avalon run on the?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Because a lot of them they'll run dozens of ships. Like, what's the big one? Viking runs like 100 ships or something every year.
Yeah, no, I don't know exactly how many they have. We were on 2 of them.
Now, was that planned, or was that just by accident?
No, we had planned to just be on one, and we were looking forward to the relaxing, not having to move your luggage ever again.
Yeah.
And what happened is the Rhine and not having any water in it happened.
Wow.
And so it's worse than it's been in 40 years.
Wow.
So we ended up having to get off and get on another ship.
Yeah. We're actually planning to go in winter, so hopefully we won't run into that
I can't imagine that you would. How was
they can put skis on it anyway and just have some reindeers pull it, perhaps.
How was the food on board?
Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, so I love the Alaska cruise I was on. I love the rice, especially the rice.
Okay.
Because having Filipino people cook rice for you, nasi goreng, every day is amazing. So we had all kinds of people. So we had people from Romania, Czechia, Italy. I think I'm trying to remember where the head chef was from, but we of course changed ships, so we went from one chef to another. The food was just fantastic. Lots of choice.
Nice.
So you were offered 3 or 4 different choices of entrees and the lovely thing about it is the entrees always changed every day.
Good.
But if you wanted the same thing, if you wanted steak and potatoes, you could have your steak and potatoes. Okay. So
Cool.
there were always these things that you could always have if you wanted them.
Right.
But what did I have? I had lamb shank with rosemary and mint sauce with polenta, and I remember that because I had it twice.
Good. Good.
I said, "Can I have another one of these?" Yes, and I got it.
My wife does that all the time on the cruises with
You might as well, man.
Lobster. She gets like 3
Yeah.
lobster tails.
So, the food was to die for. The steak was great.
And is it all a la carte, or do they have the buffet that they do on the bigger ones?
So they always had something in the back that you could eat, but it wasn't much. It was coffee and tea and cookies, and there was always that.
Okay.
That was always there. And they always had a bowl of fruit and a bowl, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So they always had that, but the meal times were, this is breakfast, this is lunch, this is dinner, and they were from this time to this time. Yeah. So you didn't have to rush down there with everyone, right? But if you came after 9:00, it was done, right? So now you could order it in your room if you wanted to too.
Nice.
You could do that. But like I said, this was the only time, for those of you who drink, this was the only time the wine was free.
Oh yeah, at dinner, right? Free wine.
These were the only times. Those are the only times it was free. All the other times, unless you had bought the special package, and I don't recommend you do, just because most of the time it's like the worst wine or the worst beer that they've got tons of, and then you feel bad because you go, but I don't like this wine. Yeah, but you bought gallons of it. Said, well, I want the other wine. Sure, that would be €5.
Willis, did they offer lunch every day?
Yes.
Okay, so
yes,
so you could
now
go
this
in the
was
morning,
that was a
do your
so
thing,
breakfast,
and then come
lunch,
back
and
get
dinner.
lunch. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, the tours were set up like that. So so you left at 9:00. It wasn't too early, it's still, but it was 9.
Mm-hmm.
So you leave at 9, you come back at 12 and have lunch, and then you can go do another excursion if you wanted to.
Wow.
So
wow,
that's neat.
And that's what another thing I like about Avalon is they gave you lunch just about everywhere.
Yeah, they don't all do that.
So you don't have to worry about. I mean, sure, you can eat out if you want to, but you don't have to. It's all there. You just come back and eat, and then you go back out again.
Were the lunches good? Like, were they?
They were
average?
Absolutely great. So
tell me about the
sometimes
breakfast too, Willis. Tell me about breakfast.
They were catering to Americans and Canadians, so
sometimes
the lunch was hot dogs, and breakfast was interesting. Breakfast, any of you who have been to Europe know you can't get a decent large cup of coffee anywhere, especially the further south you go, the smaller the cups get.
Yeah.
That's really the way it is. So you got these teeny tiny ones in Italy, and and then you come to the home of what you think is coffee, and you expect that you're going to be able to find a super large cup. No, they don't believe in large cups.
This would be perfect for me.
Drink 2 then if you really must. You're
absolutely perfect for
one
me.
of those North American people. So they were pretty nice in that they had coffee machines. You could always get a coffee. It's just you were you had to resign yourself to the fact that your cup size was what it
I
was.
love it.
Willis, did you
I'm
get
so
eggs
happy.
Benedict? This is the important question.
Eggs Benedict?
Yeah.
Oh, you could get Eggs Benedict with salmon on it if you wanted to.
What?
I do love that.
There was always a cook there, so your
Oh.
omelet was freshly made.
Mm.
It had whatever you wanted in it.
Nice.
I'm
They
jealous now.
they had a great selection. They had honeycomb honey every morning. So there was a honeycomb like on a rack, like, and it was just sitting there, and you could just take bits of honeycomb, and yes,
That's sweet.
and
What?
there were dollar pancakes. There were no big pancakes like we have, but there were dollar pancakes.
That's very
everywhere.
European. Yeah. The small
there were-
pancakes.
There were the
Crepes.
small pancakes.
Crepes.
Yeah. I didn't get very many crepes.
Did you have a
I'm
crepe in
trying to
Paris?
remember if I didn't have a crepe. Maybe you probably could have had one made. I forget.
I have to tell you, when I went,
I was so busy eating like the honey and the hash browns and it was just so good.
when I went to Disney World, Willis, we went to Epcot and we went to the France Land in Epcot, and we went to the crepe restaurant. We went to the crepe restaurant. We all had crepes, and they were gluten-free. They were gluten-free crepes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'll do you one better. I had a crepe in France.
What?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
not
So did
France
I.
Land, but actual France?
Actual Paris. I ate a crepe underneath the Eiffel Tower, which wasn't as good as the crepes that I had in England.
Well,
There was a crepe-
I've had crepes 3 times in Paris, and they weren't as good as the crepes in Quebec City.
Oh, that. Yeah. I believe
So-
that. Yeah.
Well, the first time I had a crepe was with my daughter, and we were in Paris, and we walked around and said, "We're going to get crepes this morning." And what did they do? They went downstairs, came back up in this restaurant with frozen crepes, stuck them in the microwave,
Oh, wow.
spread them with Nutella, and believe it or not, they're still kind of good. But the best one I had was cooked by this lady on the street, and she had good crepes. And that was in Paris too. That was outside of the Starbucks in Paris. Gee, I wonder what we were doing there.
So, Willis, tell us about the room. Was it big? Was it small?
Oh, yes.
What was unique
Now-
about it?
What I liked both Emerald and Avalon's rooms were that the doors open, and basically you have with Avalon it was half the window came down, and you had basically a balcony. With this one, the door opened all the way, so it slid past the actual window casing, and it had bars outside. So you could just stand and, lean on the bars and look out. You're not supposed to lean on the bars. But we did.
But everybody
Safety drill.
Everybody does. Come on. So there's a little sign, don't lean on the bars, but we did. So in that way, everybody's got a balcony, but it hasn't taken away from the size of your room. So your room is still pretty nice and large, and you've got a built-in balcony. And so you can sit there and, you don't have to go up with everybody else and on deck, and, you can just sit there and enjoy the river going past.
Nice. Was there a table in the room, or just a bed?
Yeah. So there was a fair sized table. There was also a dresser. So there was a huge cupboard for you to put your clothes in. There was a good size bathroom with a nice shower.
Oh, good. Bigger than an ocean cruise?
Yeah, and it wasn't tiny. I mean, two people could get in there if you that kind of thing, if floats your boat. But literally,
Literally.
but it was just large. I mean, compared to Emerald was like a cupboard. Honestly,
wow.
it was like, slide the door, walk in sideways and see if you can sit down on it. And then the shower's kind of the same, sort of sidle into it. And I was like, okay.
I showered
think
on a
I'm free
train
now.
once. Have you ever showered on a train?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a
Like
big
that.
guy.
Like that. Yeah. So you would have just breathed a sigh of relief and said, I can stretch out in this bathroom, because you could. And the shower. And it was so nicely tiled, and it was just
beautiful.
It was just, everything was tiled and beautiful and just looked modern, and it wasn't rusty or anything, so it's beautiful.
Sounds amazing.
So I really liked their bathrooms, even over Emerald's. The window was awesome, and most all of them are going to have windows like that. The room was a good size, just because it is Europe, and this happens even in hotels. Most of the beds are, two singles shoved together, and then they put something over the top that covers the two singles. And some people do it better than others.
Was yours good though?
Some hotels do it better than other hotels.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll get a double, but most of the time it's two singles shoved together and then sort of something over it, right?
Right.
So, but it was super comfortable. It was more comfortable than any of the hotels we stayed at up till then. And we stayed at a lot of hotels up to then. So I was very happy with that. Air conditioning, and you could adjust your air conditioning in the room.
Nice.
Room service every day, every night. Very
Fantastic.
lovely, chatty room service people that said hi to you every morning, and like for us, we liked, you got the old, they give you, cold water every day, right? And you can choose whether you want bubbly water or just still water. And we like bubbly water. So we asked for bubbly water, and they gave us bubbly water. So,
nice.
and they were really nice. So they chatted to us. If we wanted them to wash things, we could. It was a little expensive to get stuff washed, so we just washed stuff in the shower. But because we're cheap. But but you could get them to wash things for you for a price. So
Very cool.
So you had everything. You had your laundry. You had lots of space. I didn't spend much time there, honestly. I mean, I spent that 1 hour there when I was filming the outside, but that was a really hot day, and we just decided we'd, film what was going by, and we wanted it to be fairly quiet. So we just sat in our room instead of, because up on top there's a deck, and it usually has some games. Ours had a hot tub. And we actually did jump in a hot tub once.
Excellent.
And it's open usually until after dinner, just after dinner. For some reason, they don't like keeping the hot tub open after dark. But I think that's because they don't want a bunch of drunk people falling in the hot tub. I think that's why.
That could be it.
It could be it. I don't know. But anyway, but we did manage to have the hot tub one night when the stars were out, the moon was out, and we were just sitting in the hot tub. And I know it was super hot but even when it's super hot, you jump in the hot tub and it's just, and you get out and it's like, yeah, I feel great.
Nice.
And then you can always, go to your air conditioned room too. So
of course,
look out the window, So, so it was wonderful. Yes, there are no casinos. For those of you, this is the complaint I heard after my first river cruise. Well, can't believe they didn't have a casino. God,
did you read the brochure?
If that's why you cruise, my friend,
Right?
then stick to the Caribbean and
what?
They will have casinos for you.
If somebody says that to me, Willis, I'm gonna just pull out a deck of cards and be like, all right, let's go.
Yeah,
I'll play the house. I know which way
they did have that.
All right. So I have a bunch more questions, but I think in the interest of time, we should do rapid fire.
Sure.
But Sarah,
do
you have anything you want to?
You go ahead.
Okay.
I'm feeling comfortable with what we've heard.
So this is rapid fire, Willis. So you have to give me like a couple sentence answers for each of these.
All right.
I got like 6 of them. Did you meet the cruise director, and what was that experience like?
Yes, the cruise director met us all. In fact, he talked to us every day for an hour. Not for an hour, but for the first day, it was an hour. Every other day, it was like he met us just before dinner, told us what was going to happen the next day.
Oh, okay.
And said, just to reiterate, so if, the day that we all had to leave the boat and go to another boat, he said, okay, this is what's going to happen. And we're going to try and make this easy for you. And, so that's what happened.
Nice. Cruise director.
Every day is the answer.
Cruise director was on a scale from 1 to 10.
I'll give him a 10. He was wonderful. We did get money back.
Oh.
I think we got about $500 back because we had to, and really we didn't miss anything. Oh. We had to move from one ship to the other. We got to cruise through the part that we missed on a smaller ship.
Nice.
Yeah. Maybe I missed Mainz, which I missed the Gutenberg Museum.
Right.
So, but I got
next time
$500. I got $500 back for that. Yeah. And he told us we were going to get money back, and so he absolutely a 10. Both of them.
WestJet, by the way. WestJet would have just declared it to be outside of their hands, and they wouldn't have given you anything. So
you know what? We were fully prepared for that to be the case, and
it's not their fault. The water's low, right?
Yeah, and to be honest, he promised us the money, and I was thinking, yeah, right.
So all right,
we'll get money back.
Next question. Let's keep this going. Did you meet the captain, and what was that experience, and how accessible is the captain compared to an ocean cruise?
Well, the captain, again, we saw him a couple of times, right? Once at the beginning of the cruise and once at the end, where he introduced everybody, the whole staff. Okay. Because the staff is small too. Yep. So they all came out and waved, and and a little reminder to please thank your staff, which means, give your staff some money. So he was there twice. Other than that, I think I saw him once or twice because, you're right there. He's right in the bridge is pretty much open. You're sitting right in front of the bridge or behind it. And most of the time when they actually steer the ship, they're actually on the side of the ship steering it, like with these levers. And you could sit there and film that if you wanted to. They were fine with it. Cool. So you actually saw them doing their thing. Yeah.
I feel like the captain's job on a small ship on a river is going to be very different than the captain's job on a massive ocean liner with 8,000 people, right?
Oh yeah. In fact, there was one time when there were like 3 barges on either side of us, and it looked really weird how he had to sort of cruise in between them, and so that was a little scary. I was going, because there's not as much water as there was before. But
all right, anyway. Speaking of scary, did the top floor collapse to go under the low bridges?
On the first first boat that I was on with Emerald, yes, it did.
Okay, but not
It was actually very interesting. The bridge went up and down this.
Yeah.
But the top floor didn't actually collapse.
Okay.
It was just the bridge itself.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. It was on hydraulics and it lowered and raised. On the second boat, the boat that we were on, the bridge was pretty low, so it didn't have to do that at all.
Okay. So you might not know the answer to this question, but on either the Emerald or the Avalon, did they have a floor with rooms where they went below the water line and you could see the water going back past on the window? Probably not this ship because the water was so low, but
no, Emerald did.
Yeah,
because we had friends that we made friends with some people that were in a cabin that was below the water line.
Yeah.
Now I don't even know honestly whether they had even windows, because you can sometimes get inner cabins with no windows, right? Yeah. So they may not even have had windows. Yeah. But I know that some of the crew's quarters were below that point.
Right. Yeah.
And I didn't actually go and see them, however.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you were walking around the side of the ship, you could see that there were lower portholes.
So we're torn on this, Sarah, because we'd love the idea of a balcony, but we also love the idea of watching the water go by in the window. So what do you think we should do? If you had to go, which would you choose, Sarah?
I would choose a balcony 100%.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I would much happier be out on my balcony than sitting inside watching the water go by my window.
Just slosh, slosh, slosh.
See, I think that would be
you gotta remember that you're really close to the water anyway.
Oh yeah. And I have no problem with that.
So you can lean out, and if you lean out a little bit further, you will get to watch the water go by your face.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, we don't want to do that. All right, so related question. So probably what we're going to end up doing is getting 2 rooms, one for my wife and I, with whichever one she wants, and then one for my son and my nephew who will be traveling.
Will they get the underwater one?
I don't know. This will be up to Catherine probably, but so we're thinking we're gonna take them. My oldest son will be 8, or my only son will be 18. My nephew's older. What's the average age range? And did you see like anyone below 30 or 40 on this?
Yes, there were people below 30 and 40. They looked a little bored.
Oh, really? This is not what I wanted to hear.
Okay, no, there was this one. There's one. I'm sure she was something like 18.
Okay,
and all of us, we were young. I'm afraid on this cruise, and I'm saying that, and I'm 58. Yeah. Okay, we were on the young side. There were other people in their 30s, and there were, but honestly, there's one poor girl who was obviously a little like, I thought I was going to meet some hot boys on this cruise. Well, there's just a bunch of old people, and at one point we saw that she couldn't ride a bike, and her mother tried to take her out bike riding, and it all went wrong, and it went very publicly. And then we didn't see her again. We didn't see her again for the entire entire cruise, and I felt so sorry for her, because I said, "Oh, she probably, thought, I'm going to go to Europe. I'm going to meet like hot, Italian boys." But no.
My son's, well, you've met him, of course. I mean, you
Yeah,
both
yeah.
know him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he's pretty smart. He's really interested in history, and I mean, we go on trips and we go to museums and stuff, and he loves that. Right? He's kind of,
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah.
the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but I'm still worried that he might be kind of just super bored. But we'll see.
Well,
Anyway.
the first trip I went on, there was a younger family. This trip, there was one family. I think their youngest daughter was probably 36.
Yeah.
And they were both there, but they were older, and there was only one person who was under 20. And
Yeah.
and I felt really sorry for her because
All right.
but I mean, but you don't, there's other opportunities, but just not on the ship, maybe.
Sarah, have you any rapid fire questions? I got two more.
No, you keep going. This is good.
So there's a hot tub, any swimming pool?
Yeah. Emerald had a swimming pool, and they had theirs in the back of the boat, and it was glassed in, and it was inside.
Okay.
So it was very cool. So it was like an infinity pool over the.
Yeah, nice.
That was Emerald's, but Avalon had the pool on top. So it was on top of the boat, and so you could sit there and watch the stars go by, and
nice.
it was still pretty nice.
Yeah.
I actually prefer the one on top because Emerald didn't, they had it in the brochure, but they never opened it.
Oh,
because it was the thing is, it was a big deal to open because it was part of the back dining lounge.
Oh.
So in order to open it, they had to move a bunch of stuff to open it. And even though they showed it on the brochure, we never actually saw it open. So we never used it.
So there's a tip for our listeners then. Make sure if you want to go in that pool, you better ask ahead of time whether they actually open it. Yeah.
Not only that, but you need to do it during the day because most of these ships have this rule that basically after dinner they close the pool up.
So my final question, Willis, we don't want to know how much you spent on this. We know that you saved for 3 years. But I'm curious to know.
I can tell you.
No. Here's what I'm curious to know. And
you don't want to know.
This is what really matters. Is if you're on the ship and you're traveling about, and you've got basically your food and your hotel and your shore excursions and your tourist destinations all included in the package. Would you say that on a per day basis, the cruise was more expensive than staying at a hotel, going out for lunch and dinner and whatever touristy thing that day, or less expensive on a per day basis?
For the quality of the food and the sheer, you don't have to worry about which restaurant you're going to go to or whether it's going to be full or whether you have to line up or and then have lousy food. It's worth it.
It's a value.
You get breakfast, lunch, dinner, you get your room, you get AC. you can come back to the boat whenever you want to. Even if you get sick of the excursion, you can hop in a taxi and go back to the boat. So it's just amazing. Because I did both, because we did both. We did a bus tour before, and I tell you, the sheer problematic nature of being in a strange place and trying to find something to eat that you like. Especially Italy with its food mafia, and we've got panini, gelato, and 3 kinds of pasta, and you better like it. Stupid English person.
We had
basically
gelato.
That's basically what they say to you. That's it. Now we were in a place called Verbania where we had a hunter steak with mushroom sauce that was to die for. But that was way out of the regular English touristy area of the place. And sometimes it's hard to get out of those areas, you know, and it's sometimes even hard to even find a shop or, where you could buy stuff that if you wanted to, make it yourself. So, it's so worth it. And that's what I love about it. I mean, that's the only reason why it was a bit of a pain that we had to, put our luggage somewhere else, and we had to load it up again and load it back in. But even that, they made that almost not even a real big deal. They did all our luggage. We still had to pack it, so that was a pain. But they took it. They put it in the room that we were in. We came to that room in the evening, and there it was. So, yeah.
Well, this has been amazing, Willis. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
For those of you who are still listening after this marathon, be sure to check out Willis's YouTube channel, and we'll post a link. If you're on YouTube, you can read it in the description, and if you're listening on your podcast app, we'll post a link in the details for the podcast episode. So have a look at Willis's videos. I've watched a couple of them already. You've done a good job.
Oh, thanks.
And it's really exciting for me, because I'm going to actually go on one of these things one day. We're hoping to go Christmas 2023, but we'll see whether that happens. But other than that, Sarah, we've got a lot of people coming on the show over the next few episodes that have been on cruises recently.
Awesome.
We've got a couple of people that have done Alaska cruises, and they're going to tell us how that went this season. So
excellent.
So looking forward to connecting with everybody over the next few months, getting our fall episodes up and running, and lots more planned. It's going to be a fun season. Should we call it season 3 or something, or should we just make up episode numbers like we have so far?
45.
Season 49.
We'll have to get Willis on to do some voiceovers for us.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks, Willis, and thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
It's been awesome.
Hey, thank you.
Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for all the reminders too.
Take care.
I told you I need them.